Joseph, the young man. Almost 4,000 years ago, there lived in the land of Canaan a man with great wealth and many sons. His name was Jacob, and like his father Isaac and his grandfather Abraham, he too was a worshiper of the one true God. Jacob loved all his 12 sons, but his favorite was Joseph because he was born when Jacob was old and was a lad with a humble faith in God. To show his love for Joseph, Jacob had given him a beautiful long robe. And when his brothers saw that their father loved Joseph more than any of them, they hated Joseph. They hated him even more because of 2 dreams he had.
Father, I had another dream last night. A dream even more strange than the one before, where my brother's bundles of grain bowed down to my bundle.
What was it, Joseph?
Well, this time, the sun, the moon, and 11 stars were bowing down to me.
What's the meaning of this dream? Am I, your mother, and your brothers all to bow down to the ground to you?
Dreams were not taken lightly in those days, for God sometimes revealed his plans to people in dreams. So Jacob kept in mind what Joseph had said. But his brothers were so jealous of him, they secretly wished they were rid of him once and for all. After some time, Jacob sent Joseph to the pasture land of Dothan, where the older brothers had taken Jacob's flocks of sheep to graze. Eager to see his brothers, Joseph made the long journey from Hebron, looking forward to some happy greetings from them. But when the brothers saw him coming, they began to plot against him.
Look, here comes the dreamer.
Let's kill him and throw him into one of the pits.
Then we can say that a wild animal has killed him.
And we'll see what becomes of his dream. No, don't kill him. Throw him into this empty pit. Leave him here in the wilderness, but do not kill him.
Reuben planned to rescue him later and send him back to his father. So thanks to his oldest brother Reuben, Joseph's life was spared. When Joseph came to them, they jumped on him and tore off the long robe he was wearing. Ignoring his cries of protest and his struggling, they forcefully dragged him and finally let him down into the empty pit. Then they made ready to sit down and eat, paying no attention to Joseph's pleas for mercy.
Look, here comes a caravan. That's a caravan of Ishmaelite traders.
Probably from Gilead on their way to Egypt.
What's there for us to gain if we kill Joseph? Let's sell him to the Ishmaelites.
That's a good idea, Judah. Very fine, isn't it?
So 2 of the brothers hurried out to greet the leader of the caravan, while the others went back to the pit to get Joseph out. It didn't take long for the caravan leader to realize that he could buy a slave at a bargain. Unaware of the fate awaiting him, Joseph was glad to be brought out of the pit. But when he heard the bargaining which was taking place between the Ishmaelite trader and his brothers, he soon realized that they were selling him into slavery for a measly 20 pieces of silver. Torn from his father's home and sold as a slave by his brothers, Joseph was left with but one hope and comfort: God, in whom he trusted. And Joseph's brothers dipped his robe in goat's blood and brought it to their father, saying, "We found this. See whether it is Joseph's robe or not.
It is Joseph's robe. Joseph. A wild animal that's torn into pieces. Joseph! Don't try to comfort me. Let me go down into the grave to my son.
But as in the past, so also in slavery, God was with Joseph. He was sold to a kind and wealthy Egyptian named Potiphar, who was an officer of Pharaoh, the ruler of Egypt. And when Potiphar saw how faithful and honest Joseph was, and how the Lord was with him and blessed him in everything that he did, he made Joseph the overseer of his house and all that he possessed. And on account of Joseph, the Lord blessed everything that Potiphar had. But before long, Potiphar's wife tempted Joseph to sin with her. And when he would not agree to any of her evil suggestions, she plotted how to get revenge. So when she told her husband lies about Joseph, Potiphar believed her and ordered Joseph to be thrown into prison. This was unjust punishment. But Joseph remembered how God had brought him through other misfortunes, and he continued to trust in God's plans for him. Also in prison, the Lord was with Joseph. Soon the prison keeper put Joseph in charge of all the other prisoners. After some time, Joseph became acquainted with the king's butler, who had been in charge of Pharaoh's wines, and also the king's baker, both of whom had greatly angered Pharaoh and had been thrown into prison.
Why do you look so gloomy today?
We have had strange dreams.
And there's no one to tell us what they mean.
Isn't God the only one who can tell us what they mean? But why don't you tell me what you dreamed?
In my dream, I saw a grapevine, and the vine had 3 branches. As soon as the vine budded, the clusters ripened into grapes. And Pharaoh's cup was in my hand. And I took the grapes and pressed the juice into his cup, and put the cup in Pharaoh's hand.
This is what it means. The 3 branches mean 3 days. Within 3 days, Pharaoh will restore you to your office, and you will give Pharaoh his cup as you used to do when you were his butler. But remember me when you're with Pharaoh again. Be kind and mention me to him, and get me out of this prison. For I was stolen out of the land of the Hebrews, and here too I have done nothing to deserve to be put into this dungeon.
When the baker saw that the meaning of the butler's dream had been a good one, he said to Joseph, "I also had a dream." Then the baker told his dream, but this time the meaning was not a good one. In 3 days' time, Joseph said to the baker, "You will be put to death." Everything happened just as Joseph had predicted. After 3 days, Pharaoh celebrated his birthday, and the baker was condemned to death, and the butler was restored to his former position. However, the butler forgot all about Joseph, and Joseph had to remain in prison for 2 more long years. Then one day, Pharaoh, the ruler of Egypt, was greatly troubled. No one, not even the wisest men of the country, could tell him the meaning of 2 strange dreams he had had during the previous night. He called in all the magicians of Egypt, but there were none who could tell Pharaoh what the dreams meant. At last, the butler remembered Joseph and hurried to tell Pharaoh about the young Hebrew prisoner who had accurately interpreted his dream. So Pharaoh sent for Joseph at once. Joseph, freshly shaven and dressed in clean clothes, was quickly brought before the king.
I have heard that when you hear a dream, you can tell what it means.
No, I do not have such power at all. But God will give Pharaoh an answer that will help him.
In my dream, I was standing on the bank of the Nile when 7 cows, fat and sleek, came up out of the river and fed on the reeds of grass nearby. And after them, there came 7 other cows, thin and very ugly, such as I had never seen in all of Egypt. And the thin and ugly cows swallowed the first 7 fat cows. But when they had eaten them, you could not tell that they had eaten them, for the ugly cows were still as thin as at the beginning. Then I awoke. In a second dream, I saw 7 ears of grain, full and good, growing on the same stalk. And after them, there sprouted 7 withered ears, thin and burned by the east wind. And the thin ears swallowed the 7 good ears. I told my dreams to the magicians, but no one could tell me what they mean.
Pharaoh's dreams mean only one thing. God has revealed to Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good cows are 7 years, and the 7 good ears are 7 years. You see that the 2 dreams have the same meaning. The 7 lean and ugly cows and the 7 empty ears mean 7 bad years, 7 years of famine. It is as I told Pharaoh. God has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. There will come 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt. Then 7 years of famine will consume the land. And that famine will be so severe that people will not remember all the food there had been in Egypt. The fact that Pharaoh has had 2 dreams shows that God has fully decided to do this, and that he will do it soon.
Now that I know the meaning of these dreams, what should be done about the famine that is coming?
Let Pharaoh select a wise and understanding man and set him over Egypt. Let Pharaoh also appoint officers over the land and take 1/5 of the harvest during the 7 good years. Let them gather all the food of these good years and store up grain in the cities and keep it there, so that when the 7 years of famine come, the people of Egypt will have plenty to eat.
Can we find a man with the Spirit of God in him, like this man? Since God has shown you all this, there is no one so wise and understanding as you are. You will be in charge of my palace, and all of my people shall do as you command. Only as regards the throne will I be greater than you. You see, I am putting you in charge of all Egypt.
So at last, God's purpose in bringing Joseph down into Egypt was becoming clear. Overnight, this God-fearing young man had risen from prisoner to prime minister, from slave to second in command of all Egypt. And now he began to see how God had chosen him to save many people from death by starvation, perhaps also his own people. And God had an even greater purpose than bringing Joseph to a position of leadership in Egypt. He was preparing for himself a people from whom the Messiah was to come.